I'll stand because I'm short. So, but yeah, I have like lots of thoughts going through my mind. But I kind of wanted to go back to the what we have in common, and for me, at least, was family. Because my family was like so centered on Mormonism that when I left, like they cut me off for a month. And it was like the scariest time of my life. I was like, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to go to school? But then I realized instead of backlashing at them, like ignoring them, I realized that they are really important to me because I don't know what's in the next life. I don't know like if there is a next life. So that's when family became important to me, not when I was in the church or trying to believe in the church. And then for my dad, he's like, he wanted to stay in the church because family was important to him, because he, this is kind of weird to say out loud, but he's gay. But he's married to my mom and they've had 5 children, and he knew that if he left, that he wouldn't see his family anymore. At least that's what I'm assuming what would have happened. We probably would have moved far away from him. We probably would have seen him in like this terrible light that the Mormon faith used to have. I know it's changing, which is awesome. But yeah, so it can go either way. So yeah, family is my point.
Thank you. Family really is important. Kind of drawing on what we were talking about with how you can tell, like, if you're really believed or if you're Mormon. Like, I think I believed as much as anybody did. I was raised in the church. I went on a mission. I got raised in the temple. I was up to my eyeballs in the stuff. I was the ringleader. And I guess what I'm seeking, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm looking for understanding, because being that committed to an organization, it's not the same talking about it or a change of relationship with somebody that was never there to begin with. I have friends in the church and friends out of the church, and if I talk about my feelings after the fact with someone in the church, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And the same is true with people that were never in the church to begin with. They have no idea what I'm talking about. It's just kind of like, cool story, bro, like, what's the big deal? So I think that's really what I say, what I can speak for everybody, is not only be heard, but to be understood.
And I know that you had your hand up again.
So I left the church about 25 years ago, probably before a lot of you were born. And I lived in Utah Valley for those 25 years thinking that I was alone. That I was really strange. It took a lot of courage to actually stand up and be authentic and say I didn't believe. And that took time. I worked at a company where I felt like I had to wear really thick shirts so no one could tell that I was not wearing my garments anymore and things like that. It was just this last year that I discovered how wonderful it is to find community. And that was something that was missed, and I think it is something that we all have in common. And so I've met lots of wonderful, like-minded people in Utah Valley. And my happiness has increased immensely. I was already a happy guy, but it was like I'm now connected to a lot of really cool people. So I'm all for community, I agree.
I was going to interject, if you don't mind.
I guess it's okay.
I let you speak. My name is Brooke, and just a little bit about myself before I make my comment. I grew up in Orem, and I moved away when I was 22, and became inactive, and married a Catholic of all things. And yes, I called him a thing because he was my first husband, ex-husband. And I kind of ostracized myself away from my family. I didn't talk to them very often. I would visit once a year. And kind of relating to the young lady's comment in the back, it's amazing how I moved back 3 years ago after being away for 14 years. even though I didn't consider myself Mormon anymore because I hadn't been to church in years, I really went through a time, and I believe it was for a purpose, to teach me how important my family was. And I've gained a really great relationship with my mom, even though she's Mormon, and I kind of feel like I have a closer relationship with her than some of my Mormon family members. There's 8 of us. And so I just wanted to comment on that. It's interesting how it took me going through that experience to really appreciate my family. I just wanted to go through a few things. My background as a student here is in sociology. And since we were labeled to kind of talk about discrimination in this forum, just to give you kind of a sociological perspective on that, and I'm sure many of you will understand this, and Joy kind of brought this up with the steakhouse language. There are lots of symbols in Utah Valley for Mormon and non-Mormon, and I don't know if any of you can think of any right now. Can you think of any symbols, like when you just look at someone or hear someone talk?
Pierced ears on men, double pierced ears on women.
Okay.
One of the very first little signs that you look at to see if someone is an active Mormon or not.
Okay. What about an active Mormon? Can you see any signs on an active Mormon?
It's like what he was mentioning, you look for the garment lines.
CTR rings, garment lines.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Blouses, how low cut they are, how short the shorts are.
Okay.
Modesty?
Facial hair.
Facial hair, modesty. Anything else?
I don't think I've ever seen someone who wasn't Mormon with those stick figure families on the back of their
So if they have more than 3 children on the back of their car. Stick figures. Anything else? Any symbols? Do you realize that that's kind of a way that we judge people? That's kind of a way of discriminating between different people. It's not the color of their skin, but it's their beard or their triple piercing, even though they're female. Oh my gosh. You know, things like that. And then reverse discrimination. As a non-Mormon or an ex-Mormon, we may see a garment line and be like, oh, I don't think I want to talk to that person because I don't relate to Mormons. We don't give them a chance. So that's one of the interesting things in what I wrote down about in-group and out-group. And I think this is really important as a community, and as far as our family values are concerned. When we address these differences, we do recognize them as discrimination and as a part of our culture that we don't necessarily agree with, that we realize is not healthy. And a part of those family values is making a safe place for our children to grow up in. Since I grew up in Orem, which I would consider the most Mormon place on the planet, I grew up just on 50 East and 11 South by Westmore.